what I usually do now is to create these little embellishments. It's really simple. So I'm going to make a new layer. We're just going to go click that, and we're going to type, you can type flourishes or whatever you want to call it, or extras. And I'm going to lock this layer as well so we don't touch the typography. And what I usually do is press P for the pen tool, and you can see your mouse changes. And then I'm just going to click, and now we have a point. And then what I do is click and drag, and we get these nice curves. And you can see you've got these handles here. You can adjust them by pressing Alt or Option if you're on Mac, and you can drag this out to get some really cool curves, and you can edit it like that. So if you can click and drag, you'll see the pen tool, it makes a nice curve, and then we can edit the handles like that. So you can always play around and use the direct selection tool as well. You can select the individual anchor points to move the anchor points. And you can even round them off as well. So you can see here that it's got this little circle. If you're on Illustrator CC, you can click that and drag it in to round the corner to make it even smoother. So I'm just going to round it off a little bit, just like that. And then I'm going to select this shape and press Shift X. And now it's a stroke. So we've got a stroke here. The curve is looking pretty smooth. Might edit that a little bit. So now what we want to do is we want to beef it up a bit. Give it some nice features, give it some, dimension, and make it, more fun. So if you press Shift W, make sure you select your stroke, press Shift W, or if you go to the left-hand corner, you'll see you get the width tool. Use that, and what you can do is you can go to the anchor point or any point on the path or line you just made, and we can actually click and drag. And it's actually going to increase the width of that path. So now you can see we've got this cool looking shape, and you can even, change it up. You can make it smaller down here, or if you want to make it fat, or you can go all the way and make it really thin to taper it off if you want, which is pretty cool. And what I like to do, I like to go to my stroke, go to Window and go to Stroke. So make sure you have the path selected, and we can actually round it off. So I prefer to round off my lines. So you can just select the round cap and round join. You select those, and you can leave it like that. You can even make a dashed line if you want. Click dash line, and then you can increase the dashes or the gaps, and even bump that down like that to get a cool look. I'm going to turn that off, and we're going to have this bump back up to 40%, and I think that's kind of looking cool. So what we can do as well, we can actually just copy this, move it around a bit to get a nice look. And I'm going to hold Alt or Option, drag this out, and then I'm going to make it smaller. Just clicking and dragging, holding Alt and Shift. And then you can see now what I usually do is I'll select the handles using the direct selection tool to adjust it to the shape. Just like that. So now you can see we're getting this sort of like flow. And then to make the circles, you can make different shapes. Just hold Shift and Alt, press M for the marquee tool, and you can just play around. Just give it some, extra life. Just like that. And what I usually do, I go ahead, while holding Shift, you just select all the objects, and then press Control G or Command G to group it all, so you can see it's all grouped. And then what I do now is to make sure that it's all the way on the right other side, we're going to make a guide. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a line. Actually, we can actually open our rulers, so you can go Control R, call Command R. You'll see you'll get your rulers in the corners. We can drag a guide out. So we have this guide. And then what you can do is you can press Control Alt semicolon. And what that's going to do, it's going to unlock the guide, and then we can select artboard up the top here to align it. So now it's in the middle of our artboard. And then we're going to select it and just lock it again by holding Control Shift semicolon. And we're going to select our group again. Press O for the reflect tool. If you go to the left hand side, you can see you got a reflect tool here. And we're going to hold Alt or Option, select this guide. We're going to and click, and you can see you got reflect, and you can preview it. and it's going to reflect it on the other side. You can even do horizontal if you want, but we're going to do vertical and press copy. So now it's made a direct copy on the direct other side of the middle. And you can see how this is not in the centered. So we can go back, unlock our type, and center this as well to the artboard, just like that. So now you can see we're getting some hierarchy now. We're making it, you know, even and balanced, and we can just edit the type as we want. And both sides we've got these cool effects. I might bump this up a little bit using space, and then you can do the same for down the bottom here. Make sure it's not on the right layer. You can press P for the pen tool again, and let's hold shift, and you can see how it makes a straight line. You can do 45-degree or 90-degree angles, and just hold shift, click out. We're going to make the stroke white, get rid of the red by pressing /, and then holding shift W again, click that to make the width tool. Go back to your stroke, and then we'll make this like this, and then maybe I want to make this a bit wider. Drop down the stroke a bit, it's too much. And then once again we can reflect it. Press O, select your object, press O, hold Alt and Option, then we can reflect it, and then we can see our reflection on the other side. Press copy, so it copies that object to the other side, and it's directly on the same. And then I'm actually going to move this into the middle, so we're going to center it. So now that's directly into the center. And we can add more circles maybe here if we want. You know, there's no rules, you can just play around with it. Makes it look like it's bursting out. You know, you can add illustrations, more details, anything really. And then I just select them all. Then press Ctrl G, and then now we can select it as a group, and then we can change the colors to whatever we want. Maybe we want it to be blue, or we can just leave it as white. Just like that. Then we can move it around. Using the direct selection tool, you can move them individually if you want. Just like that. So now you can see it's starting to look like what we've done before, and you can see how we've got some texture on this one. We're going to add a texture now. So that's pretty much how we do the main typography. You know, it's not hard, it's not difficult. It's just playing around with fonts and colors and creating some really cool effects. So what I'm going to do is go to my texture pack. I'm going to go to projects, and I'm going to go to textures. I recently launched texture pack on Creative Market, so this is my texture pack that I'm using right now. And these are TIFFs, so they're bitmap TIFFs that I made. You can use them by taking photos and editing in Photoshop, then bringing them and then saving them as a TIFF. And it creates these really cool effects. So maybe I'm going to use something subtle. Maybe I'm going to do this one. So you can drag that in, and they're really handy because they don't crash Illustrator, they don't make it lag, and you can easily change the color. So I can easily just change the color of these effects super easily. So I want to maybe use the same color as the background, and then I'm going to flick through my transparency again to see what kind of effects we can get. So maybe we're going to go, we'll test hard light, and then I drop the opacity down 32%. You can see it's getting some cool effects now. I might change that to, yeah, overlay actually looks nice. So you can see we're getting some nice texture here. Bump it to 40%, and then maybe we'll change the color to test out how it looks. Yeah, I guess we'll leave it on this. And then what I do is I press M for the marquee tool. We're going to make a square on our artboard. Change the color so you guys can see it. Bring it to, make sure it's on top of everything. So I want to make sure it's top. And then I'm going to select this texture. And then I'm going to press Control 7. So now we've just made a clipping mask. You can also do that by just selecting the two objects. And I just Control Z that. And you can go Object, Clipping Mask, Make. So now you can see we have our texture in our clipping mask. So doesn't look messy. And you can see how we've got some texture going on. So when you print it, it'll get look a bit more realistic and fun. So that's how you guys create a poster, guys. Hope you enjoyed this tutorial and this course, and I hope to make some more courses for you in the future.